In Ghana, I was doing some consulting work for a company. They asked me to coach a woman who had been passed over for promotion before. How many of you have been passed over for a promotion before? Yeah. And oftentimes, these are the things that may have been at play that nobody wanted to say. These are often unspoken rules. The CEO of the company said to me, Yawa, we know she's due for promotion. We know it. She's actually one of our star players. But the promotion means that she will start representing the company. And we're not confident that she's our best ambassador. So they gave me a brief to work with her to polish her professionalism. And I could identify, because I grew up with 4 brothers. I grew up playing soccer. Fun fact, I should have told you this morning. I grew up with 4 brothers. I have a deep voice anyway. And I was kind of rough around the edges. And I would say things like, oh, it doesn't matter what I look like. It's what I know. It's what I can do. At certain levels, it's much more than what you know and what you can do. It's also how you present. And so over a course of a few months, I had the opportunity to really work with this woman on executive presence, on how she speaks, and on how she presents herself visually. These are all things I had to do myself. Because do you know what Kitchen Cabinet was telling me? Yawa, you're talking leadership, but you don't look like a leader yourself. Kitchen Cabinet was saying, Yawa, you are giving, you're not giving leadership. And one of them asked me a question that has stuck with me to date. She said, if your organization was a person, what would she look like? That is how you should be dressing. And it changed me. I went and hired an image consultant. I said, please, I didn't grow up with this makeup business. I didn't grow up knowing colors and stuff. And so work with me and help me focus on how to bring my best self. How did she do? Was it okay? Did she do an okay job? She taught me how to dress for my body shape and size, taught me makeup and colors. She gave me a color swatch. She said, when you go shopping, shop within these color ranges. We chose one color as my signature color. And I began to say, wow, we just don't know what we don't know, right? So some of you are sitting here and the difference between you and where you're aiming to go is not more academic knowledge. It may be just polishing your professionalism, changing how you appear to the world. And then I remember at that time, she came to my house and said I should bring out all of my favorite dresses when I'm going to speak at places, where are the dresses that I wear, and I lined them up for her. She said, please never be seen in this color again. Get rid of this. This does not flaunt your body. Get rid of this. It was painful. It was also a little humiliating. Some of us need to be wounded a bit. Wounded so that we can change. I like what Caroline said to us this morning. Prominence is about the lights, but some of these lights get you sweating. For those of you who are speakers in studios, sometimes the camera, the brightness of the light causes you to start sweating. And that's the journey that you'll be on. And with this strategy, it's really just having honest conversations of where do I need to invest so that I start looking like where I'm going. I have said repeatedly to a few close friends that I don't think I'm saying new things per se, but I think I look better when I say them, so I'm being taken more seriously. And the truth is, it's not whether it's good or bad, it simply is. The social sciences or sociologists say that it takes people between 5 and 7 seconds to make a first impression about you. So do you feel like people notice you when you walk into a room? Do you? The truth is we're all on stage and we are all noticed. So how do we make sure that we can make sure every first impression is a positive one? Have you ever met someone and they haven't even opened their mouth, but there's just something about how they entered the space, you thought very positively towards them? Has that happened to you before? It's like, who's that girl? When they walk in. Has the opposite also happened to you? Somebody walks in, they haven't said anything, they haven't opened their mouth, but you're like, I know you people are good people, so you're not, I know you don't do that, but some people do that. The truth is, we can't switch it off. So When Caroline talked to us this morning about signaling readiness, some of the signaling that some of us need to do is around how we present ourselves, how we exude confidence or lack thereof. I, in 2013, studied one of the other investments that I made was studying at the Protocol School of Washington in the US. Because what I saw in my future at the time was being in the company of heads of state and CEOs and business leaders. But my family doesn't come from money. I don't really quite know how to act, at the time at least. I didn't quite know how to comport myself when I was at a formal lunch or dinner. I would get a little nervous. Does that happen to any of you in the room? So I remember meeting someone who said she studied there, and I put that on my vision board. I'm going to find a way to go study at the Protocol School of Washington. So it came to pass in 2013. And I did not know how much unlearning I needed to do at the time. Unlearning the way my posture. I remember after that, there was a woman that I met during that training who's a speech coach that I ended up working with as my speech coach after. And she's the author of a book called 101 Ways to Captivate a Business Audience. Her name is Sue Galkey. And she said, she just notices we Africans have a way of slouching, and in many of our cultures, it's signs of respect to not look in people's eyes or put your hands behind your back. But it doesn't have currency in the international world of business. So for me, one of the hardest things to do was just learn to stand straight with my hands beside me. Can you all stand up and practice that? Posture. Just being a little deliberate now, that when you stand, you will stand with shoulders squared. Do you know the world of international business is very much influenced by military and royalty? Attention. You see the square shoulders of the uniform. You see the button. You see I'm channeling a little military today, right? But I had to unlearn, because where I could see my prominence was leading me meant that I needed to learn, okay, how do those places of power work? Now, some of you have already done this. Some of you are already, but it feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? It feels like something's wrong. So get comfortable being uncomfortable, especially those of you for whom prominence means moving to a new level. So one of the things I want you to start figuring out is maybe doing a list now of what are the areas you may need to grow. Can you shake a hand of someone standing beside you? What is a good handshake? What does it look like? All right. Right. Would someone come on stage so we demonstrate together? So at least, can someone come join me? Let's demonstrate. Yes, thank you. So a good handshake. Could you stand to my right, please? So a good handshake, a couple of tips, especially for those of us who are going to be doing business internationally. And, you know, there's protocol and there's etiquette. Etiquette does change from place to place. So that's why we say dining etiquette, because it varies from place to place. So dining is an etiquette, but there's a protocol. Every country usually has a Department of State protocol, because there's a way, a laid down procedural way for how you receive guests, etc. So a good handshake, let the record show, is web to web. This is what we call the web of your hand. Yeah, the web. And it needs to fit in the web of the other person's hand. And you'll know you're doing it right if the 4 tips of your fingers can be seen on the back of their hand. Aha. A lot of us are guilty of doing this. Fingertip holders. Fingertips. So web to web. It's a shake from the wrist. So this is the hand. This is your wrist. This is your elbow. These are your shoulders. You are not pumping a well from your shoulders. So we're not, yes. So I shouldn't feel like my whole body is gyrating when I shake your hand. Neither is it lifting with my elbow. It is a shake of our wrists. So try that handshake again. Do you see the difference? And it's usually 1, 2, maximum 3 pumps and a release. So from henceforth, now and forevermore, you stand shoulder to shoulder. So those of us who shake hands sitting down, it's actually inappropriate. So if you're seated, stand up, shoulder to shoulder, shake the hands, and then you have your conversation. So in Ghana, we're guilty of the lingering handshake. We're talking, then we're swinging your hand, and then I don't know if they do that here in Kenya. We're talking, and the hand has become a jump rope, and it's skipping while we're talking. So for those of you who are moving into the global realm of business, this stuff matters. So sometimes it's the strength of the handshake. It's like, this person feels weak. So you want a firm handshake. If the person's hands have straightened out in your hand, you're probably squeezing too hard. So that means you want to be sensitive to things like hand creams. You know, no one should shake your hand and smell you for the rest of the day. So non-scented hand creams. It's inappropriate, and some people actually have allergies to certain fragrances, etc. So just some thoughtfulness in how you present, because the handshake has become the international greeting in business. A note for men, handshakes happen in social settings between men and women only if the woman extends her hand. Otherwise, you greet with a verbal and a head nod. Gentlemen, please note. So in some cultures, so in one of my polished professionalism classes, one of the participants is a Muslim. And she said, in Islam, it's haram for me to shake hands with a man. What do I do? It's haram. And I said, in those special circumstances, you may notify, especially if you don't have seniority, you may notify whoever is the meeting organizer or host or whatever, that for specific cultural reasons or religious reasons, this member of my team will be unable to shake hands, so that there's no awkwardness, right? So there are rules that govern how we interact. And sometimes what I can get away with saying in Ghana to a fellow Ghanaian is an abomination to say to someone else. So just begin to build your currency around your own professionalism. And what it looked like for me, because I knew I was going to start interacting with heads of state, interacting with CEOs, etc. So when our Eisenhower Fellows cohort had the opportunity to meet President Barack Obama, and we were received, they took us to the cabinet room, and then we met him in the Rose Garden. And I remember one of my fellow cohort mates said, Yawa, you look so comfortable. I said, I have been here so many times in my head and in my dreams, but I had also been prepared for it. They said, the way you walk straight, the way you shook hands, the conversation. But Yawa, the shy girl who was a cerebral thinker, self-conscious about her voice and all of that. So I say all of that to say, some of you may be telling yourself stories that, these are the people. Me, tomboy, soccer-playing young woman, I'm standing before you. At least it is possible for you too. So again, a couple of key things: your posture, your eye contact, the way you enter and exit a room. I love what Honorable Cicely was saying about downsizing. Some of us look clunky when we're entering into spaces. So I tell the young women that I mentor or the ladies that I coach that the way you enter a space matters. If sometimes I will check, because I'm a trainer, I do corporate trainings and things like that. If I'm going to an event afterwards and I have like my roller bag with my laptop and things, which I don't feel safe leaving in my car, I'll check if it's an event at a hotel. I'll check it at the front office and say, can you take this, and I walk in with a small bag similar to hers. Because again, you always want to keep one hand free for handshaking. When you go to an event, never go to an event hungry. We're about to eat lunch, and I will not be judging you, but it is hard to come across as a polished professional when you're starving. So little tips like that, like let the food come to you. Don't go down to meet the food. Sit with good posture, elbows never on a table. And so me learning American style, continental style, and Asian dining, me understanding that there's an etiquette, because should I tell you a sad story? I have a great honor of meeting a head of state, and I shook his hand, and in Ghana, we have this finger snap that we do at the end. I finger snapped a head of state. His security detail, immediate alert, coming close to me. I'm sure they would lift me and throw me out somewhere, because it looked like I was inflicting bodily harm. Because as I snapped him, he jumped. Did she have a knife? Was she trying to cut him? And have you ever been embarrassed and you wanted the floor to open up and swallow you right there? And thank God I thought on my feet, and I said, Your Excellency, I was just showing you how we greet in Ghana. But that's why I now say, henceforth, now and forevermore. Now the right way to shake hands is how I shake hands. The right way to eat is now how I eat. Because for me preparing for my prominence, these things matter. Do you get the point I'm illustrating? So my friend group started thinking, yeah, well, you're extra. You're being too, I stopped speaking broken English because I saw that it was flooding into my formal communication. And so I wasn't coming across as a polished professional anymore. I was being a little informal too quickly. So I share this because I know we're at different ages and stages. But what may be holding you back isn't another academic degree or another academic qualification. It may be just learning from maybe a kitchen cabinet member or a boss who will speak off the record to say, you have some body odor. When you pass through the environment, the whole place stinks. Someone who says, I know you like these heels, but when you wear them, you walk like a giraffe. Someone who says, I just noticed when we're at our formal lunches, you chew like, some people, the truth will hurt, but the truth you hear today gives you hope for prominence tomorrow. So I hope these short tips and demonstrations are prompting you about what I mean about polished professionalism. The reason why they're unspoken rules is because to speak them is to suggest that you may be uncultured. Some people take it as discrimination. Some people also take it as, what does what I wear matter? God looks at it's God who looks at the heart. But the scriptures say that man looks at the outward appearance. Have you ever been to a bookshop and you gravitate? Thank you so much for helping me. Can we clap for her? Thank you. Have you ever been to a bookshop and you can take your seats? Thank you. Have you ever been to a bookshop and just gravitated to a certain book because of the cover? Because at least the cover gets your attention so that you'll at least take the time to get in. So polish your professionalism. I mean no disrespect, but some of us really need to start refining how we communicate, refining how we appear. And I've been victim of breaking all of the rules. So this is not me pointing a finger, but this is me saying I have seen the difference. That when I started doing the things that I was coached to do, when I started being very deliberate about my appearance, about how I conduct myself and comport myself, it's opened up doors that wouldn't have ordinarily opened. In some companies, you hate on people that are moving fast and far, but chances are they're doing some of these things and you're not, okay? When I was in my early 20s, I was in a managerial role in a company. And in that company, people had been working there for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. And within months of me joining, the boss of the company said, I want to travel with that new girl. I want her to come with me to this important client. I don't know if in East Africa it's like how it is in Ghana. People say this one is this witchcraft. It is juju. They said I had gone to bewitch my boss. But the boss just knew that I could represent her company well. So sometimes it's not more academic knowledge. Am I putting my best foot forward? So strategy number 2 in preparing for prominence is polish your professionalism. So this is what we just did, but this is the checklist homework that I do want to have you consider. And we'll give the slides, and if you didn't register formally on the link, please do. My colleague Patricia can give you the link so you get all of the materials that we have for you today. Okay? So, is your wardrobe aligned with the role that you're seeking? Are you the kind of person that they have to be telling you, you know, Chalet, this wig that you are wearing, it kind of stinks, or this thing that you're, and sometimes those things are hard to hear, but. So there's a video of the president of the Protocol School of Washington that I want to show you. And she demonstrates how to enter a room, how to introduce yourself, and some of the things that we just did, like standing up straight, hands by your side, etc. This is an excerpt from the class that I teach called Polished Professionalism. So if we can cue, is this a question? Let him play the video and we can deal. Is it a question about it? Okay. Do you want to just go ahead and ask the question while he's bringing up the... He's cueing video, so I can't move this. What was the question? What was the point? You can't remember, okay. Oh, visibility moves. Some of us are afraid to tell what we're doing. So visibility is, maybe 2 LinkedIn posts. Or take a meeting. Some of us, our business is in our briefcase only. Nobody knows what we're doing. Take 2 business meetings. So 2 visibility moves. Align your wardrobe. And for me, when I told you about the image consultant, do you know how long it took me to start? I had to save. I paid all the money for her to coach me. Now I needed to find money to buy new wardrobe pieces. So the woman that you are called to be will cost you. But I want you to have a determination that you will be who you need to be so that people can receive you at the level that you are meant to be received. Some of us will never be considered for certain opportunities. Our names will never crop up. They'll say, this person. Haven't you been in rooms where that has happened before? There's an opportunity, then they mention someone's name and everyone says, And sometimes it's just unspoken. So I really want to encourage you to think about that. Your wardrobe, what kind of introductions of yourself, and that was a good exercise we did this morning. How do you speak about yourself? I was at a conference with one of my mentors, and she said, you keep saying, I used to, because I was feeling self-conscious about me starting an organization that wasn't big. So I used to reference where I used to work. So my name is Yawa Hansen-Quao, and I used to be in the tourism, and I was a manager, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, why are you talking in the past? She called me out. Then when I lost my father, grief-stricken, within 5 minutes of meeting me, you will know my father died. Some of us, we're laughing, but we know those people, or we are those people. Within minutes, people know your miserable story. Until I said it, many of you probably didn't know I have a special needs child. So that's why I started with strategy 1. You need to build a kitchen cabinet of people who help you deal with the things that you're going through so that you don't become the person that wears their life experience on their body. Maybe you've gone through a divorce and it shows. Maybe you're going through some sort of grief and it's showing. That's why you need that second category of help, the counseling. So I hope it's well explained. Do you understand now? Great. Is the video ready to play? Are we good? And, your social interaction. So let's start. This is Pamela Eyring. Pamela is the president of the Protocol School of Washington, and this is a quick video I'm going to show you.
How are you? Hello, I'm Pamela Eyring. How are you?
And a bar, and I want to talk a little bit about that. If you're the host or the guest, there are some protocols that you need to observe, and your social interaction. So let's start. This is Pamela Eyring. Pamela is the president of the Protocol School of Washington, and this is a quick video I'm going to show you of how to enter a room as she demonstrates. So hopefully this video will play without issue.
When making an entrance, walk confidently, head up, right hand free. When I enter a room, I always move to the right or left and pause. Pausing gives me a chance to find key people in the crowd. It also gives key people a chance to see me. Hello, may I join you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm Pamela Irie.
Hi, Pamela. Mario Melendez.
Nice to meet you, Mario. Hello, I'm Pamela Irie.
Hi, I'm Michelle Nolan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Michelle. Hello, I'm Pamela Irie.
Okay, that's
Nice to meet you, Fred.
Do you see that? So little or nothing in hand, hands beside you, walk straight, good eye contact. So even if you're late, you don't have to do this because you're late. You've seen it, or you've done it, or both. You're late, just pick up the pace, walk more quickly, right? There's no bending posture. So part of how you communicate confidence is through straight posture. Shoulders squared, hands beside you. Use your hands for emphasis if you need them, but bring them back. This takes so much getting used to because we're so used to crossing them. This is what they call closed body language. So it makes you come across as standoffish. We were at the StandOut Women's Leadership Retreat in Ghana in June. And there was someone in the room who I didn't even know that I knew her before. And she said, I signed up for this experience because I see the change in Yawa. And she said, years ago, I was on a phone call with her, and the way she spoke to me so harshly, the way she behaved, and her she just was so arrogant and I didn't know that I was giving the wrong impressions. I thought I was being confident and assertive, but I was giving rude and arrogant. And so I needed to do work on even how I communicate, needed to do work on how I appeared. Sometimes I would just be stuck in my own head, having a nice conversation in my head, and I'm ignoring people around me. The same body gestures that arrogant people have, when nose up in the air, not looking at you, you're not good enough. Because I'm thinking, oh yeah, that thing yesterday, okay, and so my face, my eyes, I needed to learn to be present. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was, Yawa, fix your face. Because honestly, if I was mad, you'll see I'm mad. If I was happy, you'll see I'm happy. If I was sad, she's like, part of the maturing is knowing how to master your feelings and emotions. So that's why strategy number 2 can't really be done well without strategy number 1. Really building a feedback mechanism. That's really what your kitchen cabinet is. It's a feedback mechanism. Mentors, coaches, counselors, giving you consistent feedback so that you can improve. And that woman said, I wouldn't have even signed up for anything that she's done if I haven't seen her growth over the years. She said now, she's such a warm person. Even if she has something difficult to say, she says it well. Who was asking that question in the panel before about communicating things? Because I was blunt. I grew up among Black Americans, right? And so there's this, we will take off our earrings and tell you a thing or two right now that I took into my world of work. That's what confidence looked like in where I grew up. And so I had to unlearn. I had to change how I speak because I learned English in America and in a way was speaking way too fast for comprehension. So I had to learn. That's why for me, 18 years of investment in public speaking, to learn how to modulate my voice, to learn how to speak with clarity, but at the same time with confidence, to learn how to condense big pieces of information into short blurbs, and I'm still learning. Most recently, I worked with a musician. I sat on her, beside her on a flight back to Accra. She's a Ghanaian European singer, and she's based in France. And she said, hello, and I said, hello. She says, wow, you have a deep voice, so nice. And she said, oh, can I give you a few tips? And she said, I think if you controlled your breath, your voice would sound much more clear. And I said, wow. She's like, do this, and then she and I look silly because we're on the plane doing boom. But she gave me some techniques right there. And I said, do you teach this? She says, yeah, she teaches it. So I signed up for 10 weeks of training with her. And most recently, I was speaking at this event in Nigeria, and someone who's heard me speak, she said, your voice sounds so much sweeter. You're easier to listen to. I said, wow. So the person you are meant to be in prominence will cost you. You're going to have to start understanding, how do I get my presence checked? How do I get my appearance checked? How do I see the areas that I grapple with checked off so that there's nothing holding me back that is a character trait? All right, we've done that. And the last strategy, treat yourself like an asset. I, in probably 2020, was completely burnt out. I come from a family that got broken